everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Ashley and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my favorite fall eyeshadow palettes. As many of you may know by now, the fall is my favorite season of the year. I love autumn so much. I love the weather. I love the changing of the leaves. There to me is almost nothing as beautiful as all of the vibrant oranges and reds and yellows that just permeate this season, and it speaks to my very soul. I love it so much. I also really love Halloween. I really do. I'm a Halloween fan. My son also really loves Halloween, which is awesome. So at the beginning of September is when my Halloween decorations slowly start to make their way out. You've probably noticed this in at least the last few videos. I've got one of my Halloween candles going. I have some of my, how cute is that? It's so freaking pretty. Some of my Halloween coffee mugs out, and I always pull them out very, very slowly because if it was up to me, I would start decorating like in August or at least at the beginning of August. You know, I would start decorating much sooner, but my husband is like, okay, we gotta slow it down. So I always pull things out really slowly so that hopefully he won't notice, but the jig is up. He noticed my mummy garden gnome on the front porch, and he thinks that that means that he's won, but it doesn't. It just means that now I can pull everything out and it's not a secret anymore. So be prepared. There will be more Halloween decor making its appearance because it makes me happy. Anyway, let's go ahead and start talking about the eyeshadow palettes. Now, I do want to throw a disclaimer out there, and not all of these palettes are still available, and for that, I'm so sorry. I will link everything that I can down below in the description box, but just know that there are some of these palettes are discontinued or limited edition, so I am really sorry, but honestly, these are the palettes that when I open them up, they fill me with those autumn vibes. They fill me with so much just joy, and I have to share them with you. So these are in no particular order, but we are gonna go ahead and start with this palette right here. This is from Ziza Cosmetics, and I hope I'm saying that right. I ordered this off of Amazon. This is their collaboration with the British Museum, and the packaging is what has drawn me in initially. Move my face so it'll focus. There we go. So this color story, it's everything fall for me. It is those really gorgeous, vibrant oranges and reds and marigolds. It's got those sort of rusty browns in it. It has glimmer because you guys know I love everything sparkly, but this palette to me is just every autumn changing leaf possible, and I love that. I love that so much. And honestly, I've never done a dedicated video about this particular palette, but I really do enjoy it a lot, and I would eventually like to pick up more items from the brand. I just have so much that I already have that I've been a little bit hesitant, but they have some just, I mean, like, look at that. Outstanding, so pretty. And they have a few of them that I think they have a total of 6 in this collaboration. They also have an Alice in Wonderland collection, which, oh my gosh, looks amazing. Like, this is one of those brands that I would buy for the packaging alone, which is ridiculous. I understand that, but absolutely beautiful. And I've enjoyed every single look that I've made from it. So that is the first of my fall palettes. Kind of along that same theme is this palette right here from Violet Voss. Let's take a moment to appreciate the really neat holographic front. It's so cool. But this really falls along that same vein of those changing leaves, but these are kind of deeper, a little bit more rich. You've got these bronzes and golds and deep reds and deep yellows. You've also got these beautiful greens here along the bottom row. This is such a solid palette. I go back to this palette time and time again. I really, really enjoy this a lot, and this screams fall to me. Now, I think the palette that everyone is expecting when we're talking about the changing of fall leaves, yeah, this beauty right here, this is from Natasha Denona. This is the Sunset palette. This is one of her more expensive palettes. But this color story, you cannot tell me that this does not scream fall to everyone. I mean, for real. This is such a stunning palette, and for the price point, it really needs to be. But this is such a nice palette. If you have the Yes Please palette from ColourPop, that is a almost spot-on dupe for this. So I don't think that that palette is sold anymore. I know I've decluttered mine simply because I had no need for two almost identical palettes, but such a lovely palette. Such a lovely, lovely palette. Now, if we're talking about those same sorts of tones, but in a more deep and rich sort of place, the Nubian 2 from Juvia's Place is so beautiful. Like, look at these. I literally bought this palette for this shade right here, Egypt. It's so nice. Should I be swatching some of these for you guys? I will at least, yeah, some of these, you cannot do better in a shimmer formula than with Juvia's Place. Like, that is, I mean, that's everything fall to me. That's just everything fall. It's amazing. Like, and this palette is years old and it performs like I just bought it. It is so good. Let me clean my hand off. All right, sorry about that. I was not swatch prepared. Sorry. All right, so a palette that I absolutely love, but that is limited edition, or was limited edition rather. Oh, this was last year's Too Faced holiday release. This is the Pumpkin Spice palette. And again, very similar theme. You've got those beautiful bronzes and burnt yellows and burnt oranges. But this one's unique because we've got the greens and browns over here, but then we've got this row of purples up here. So not only is this a really nice fall palette, but it makes the early transition into winter, which is really, really fun. I know when I reviewed this last year, I gave it really high reviews. I gave it really high marks, and I still feel that way. The shimmers are not 100% my favorite, but these mattes are some of my favorites, and I am so happy that I managed to snag that one. Not impressed with this year's offerings, but, you know. Another palette that actually, we're going to do all three. No, no, we're not. Okay. So this palette right here is the ColourPop Salvaje Palette. And this is another one that makes the transition from autumn into winter, in my opinion. Because you've got these really beautiful bronzes and burnt reds, but then you also have some kind of pinky, purpley sort of mauve shades that I feel like really speak very nicely to winter. So this, I mean, this is probably one of my favorite ColourPop palettes anyway, but I feel like this is a very, very beautiful autumn to winter palette for sure. Now let's talk a little bit about what's on my eyes, because it is honestly the palette that I am most obsessed with right now. Like, I cannot stop wearing this palette. And I'm sorry to all of you who have been following my Pan Those Eyeshadows project, because it's gonna be a stinker, because I cannot stop wearing this palette right here. This is the Wilderness palette from Beauty Bay. This was a gift from the beautiful Carolina. Thank you so much. I love this palette. Expect to see this in my year-end wrap-up of my favorite products from this year, because this is so nice. I've never used anything from Beauty Bay before, and now I feel like I need more of their palettes because this is so stinking good. So this is everything fall. I mean, everything fall. You have this row of greens, which I am so obsessed with. Like, that is what I'm wearing today. This green right here called Lime is hands down my favorite shimmery green in the entirety of my collection. It is so beautiful. But then you've also got these just really intense, vibrant reds and oranges, and I love it. You've got kind of a little bit brighter greens to kind of change things up a little bit. Like, this palette is perfection. Perfection. If there's anything from this video that you come away saying, I should pick that up, it's this. I don't usually say that you need things. You need this. It's so good. It is so good, especially if you love green eyeshadow like I do. This is a winner. Now, if you just love green eyeshadow, but you don't necessarily want some of the reds and oranges and blues and things like that, then BH Cosmetics has you covered, because this is very similar to the green version of that palette. So you've got greens and browns. And again, this for me is very, very fall inspired. Like, yes, you do have a little bit of kind of warmer tones in here, but honestly, this is, I want to say a decaying forest, and that just sounds really like dark, and I don't mean it to, but like all of these different tones of greens and browns, I don't know how to explain it better. It's so lovely. I do really like this a lot. Now, the last two palettes I'm going to talk about are ones that are not available anymore, and you know that this would make an appearance. If you have the At Forest Sight palette, then you know this is the jam. Like, this is a jewel toned masterpiece. I know that that sounds intense, but it really is. This is a jewel toned masterpiece. This is so well curated, so well conceived, and so well done. Like, Raw Beauty Kristi knocked this out, and I'm shocked that ColourPop wouldn't keep it around in the way that they did. I mean, this came and went so quickly, and I feel like it deserves a revival because it's stunning. It's so good. Like, a few videos ago, I'll link it up in the cards, I wore a look that I saw Raw Beauty Kristi create in one of her videos. I got so many compliments on that eye look because this palette is outstanding. So good. And then the final palette, this is kind of an interesting one. It kind of deviates from the theme, but the final palette we're going to talk about is from Huda Beauty. This is her Mauve Obsessions palette, and I feel like this is the one that bridges autumn and winter. Like, I love these sort of berry jewel tones. If we'll focus, please. Here, let's try this again. There we go. I love these kind of berry tones for the autumn, but they do move so, so nicely into winter as well. I don't know why this was discontinued. It's absolutely gorgeous. The only thing that I can think of is that the Naughty palette is kind of an expanded version of this. I don't own the Naughty palette, so don't hold me to that, although I would like to own it. But yes, this is absolutely gorgeous. I don't know if this one's available anymore, but hold on just a second. All right, so if this is still available, I'll have it linked down in the description box below along with everything else. But Lottie London has the Jewels palette, and it is very, very similar in feeling to the Mauve Obsession palette. Let me try to put them up side by side so you can really see. They're slightly different and the layout is different, but I mean, you get the same feeling from both of them. So if you missed out on the Mauve Obsessions and this one's still available, I would check it out. I mean, I've done a few looks with this and I have enjoyed it. So I think the quality is nice, especially for the price point. So check this one out. And there you have it. Those are, at least for now, my favorite autumn eyeshadow palettes, and these are the ones that I'm going to be gravitating to hardcore, even though I'm panning like a million eyeshadows. I'm such a mess, you guys. Let me know down in the comments, what are some of your favorite autumn palettes? Do you agree with some of my choices, or do you have a different take on it? I would love to know, and if there's a palette that I should be checking out, let me know that as well, because you guys know I am a sucker for some good eyeshadow. As always, everything that I am wearing will be linked in the description box below, and if you have not yet subscribed, I hope that you will consider doing so. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope that you are having an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Bye.